It started like every other Love and Hip Hop reunion. Bright lights, heavy makeup, perfect smiles hiding unfinished battles. The cast sat under the golden glow of the revamped set, waiting for another night of drama that would trend for days. But no one, absolutely no one, was ready for what Bambi had in store. She walked in calm, collected, clutching her phone like a loaded weapon. Her expression gave nothing away, but the air around her shifted. Scrappy leaned forward. Sierra whispered to Carly Red. Even the producers exchanged nervous glances. Something was about to explode. The reunion began like talk of businesses. Unfollows, shade wrapped in laughter, but when the host brought up trust, the atmosphere cracked. Kirk's smile faltered. Rashida adjusted her seat, crossing her legs tighter. Then, without warning, Bambi leaned forward and spoke 7 words that detonated the room. "Rashida, I have something to show you." The silence was deafening. Every camera zoomed in. Rashida looked puzzled. Kirk's face drained of color. Bambi's hand trembled slightly as she unlocked her phone, turning the screen toward Rashida. At first glance, it looked like innocent D mise until the camera zoomed closer. Kirk's verified account. Flirty lines. Late-night timestamps. A half-nude selfie. A hotel confirmation under his name. The kind of proof that silences even the loudest liars. Gasps filled the room. Rashida's eyes widened, frozen between disbelief and heartbreak. Kirk didn't move. He didn't blink. The host tried to speak but stopped halfway. The tension was suffocating. Bambi's voice was steady but laced with fire. "You really think these girls out here ain't screenshotting you?" The words cut through the air like glass. She wasn't shouting, she didn't need to. The evidence spoke louder than any scream. Producers scrambled to capture every angle as the room fell into chaos. The mask had slipped, and Kirk Frost was caught red-handed. And just when it felt like time had stopped, Bambi looked directly at Rashida. "I didn't want to do this here," she whispered, "but you deserve the truth." The silence that followed wasn't peace. It was shock, and it was only the beginning. The moment the DMs flashed on screen, the reunion transformed from reality show to raw reality. Kirk's silence screamed louder than any confession. Rashida stared at the phone like it was a mirror showing every betrayal she had ever ignored. Her lips trembled, but no words came out. The cast sat, frozen eyes darting, hands covering mouths. Spice muttered, "Damn, not again." Yandy looked down, shaking her head. Scrappy leaned back, jaw tight, knowing his friend was done for. The host finally broke the silence, voice uneasy. "Kirk, are these messages real?" The question hung heavy, vibrating through the room. Kirk tried to speak, stammering, "It's not what it looks like." But the audience knew that Tonette was the sound of a man cornered by his own lies. Bambi didn't let him finish. Then explain the hotel receipt. Explain why the messages are from last week. Her tone sharpened, each word slicing the tension. "You toast to loyalty while booking rooms in Buckhead." The crowd reacted instantly, gasps, whispers, disbelief. Rashida finally rose from her seat. Her calm broke. "You embarrass me every time I start to heal," she said, voice low but trembling with fury. Kirk reached for her arm, pleading, "Let me explain," but she pulled back. "Explain to the internet. Explain to your son. Explain to your damn self." Her words landed like bullets. Bambi stayed silent, watching the chaos unfold, her phone still glowing in her hand. The host signaled to producers, but they didn't cut the cameras. This was too real to interrupt. And just as Rashida turned to leave, Bambi's voice echoed one last time. "Tell her the truth, Kirk. Or I will." The line hit like thunder. The entire stage went still, and everyone knew the real war had just begun, before the reunion. Before the explosive reveal that shattered the room, there was history. A long, tangled, painful history. Rashida and Kirk Frost weren't just another love and hip-hop couple. They were the blueprint. The power pair that built an empire out of chaos. From pressed ATL to the bistro, from endorsements to matching business ventures, they had turned their marriage into a brand. To the public, they looked unshakable: love, loyalty, and legacy, all wrapped in designer packaging. But beneath the glitter, cracks had been forming for years. It started back in 2017, the scandal that changed everything. Kirk's affair with Jasmine Washington. The betrayal that came not just with rumors, but receipts, interviews, and ultimately, a child. That revelation didn't just rock their marriage, it turned them into a case study in public forgiveness. Rashida stood at a crossroads. Some fans begged her to leave, calling her too strong to stay with a man who had humiliated her. Others praised her loyalty, saying she was a symbol of grace and perseverance. But the truth was messier. Rashida wasn't staying for optics. She was staying for stability, for the family, for the empire they had built together. Kirk's public apology tour followed half sincere, half strategic. He blamed immaturity, confusion, pressure from fame. He cried on camera, promised to change, posted family photos like bandages on open wounds. And slowly, people started to believe him again. They rebuilt the image. Growth, redemption, power, couple goals. But behind the scenes, insiders whispered a different story. Rashida was tired, emotionally drained. The trust between them wasn't just cracked, it was hanging by a thread. Every time Kirk said he was working late, every time his phone buzzed face down on the table, Rashida felt that old ache return. She wanted to believe in the man he said he was becoming, not the one the streets kept warning her about. Yet she chose peace, again and again. Not because she was weak, but because she was loyal. Too loyal? She had forgiven him once, then twice, then lost count. But forgiveness has a shelf life. And Rashida's patience was expiring. Behind the brand's smiles and staged interviews, she was unraveling. Sleeping less, eating less, overthinking everything. She had built a business empire with her husband, only to feel trapped in a marriage that served the company more than her heart. And Kirk, ever the charmer, kept up the illusion. He was everywhere. Podcast appearances, couples counseling segments, networking dinners, always smiling, always performing. Fans thought they were witnessing healing. In reality, they were watching a woman carry the weight of a man's repeated sins while pretending it was love. The empire survived, but the marriage, it was surviving for the empire. Rashida's friends knew. Her mother knew. And one castmate saw the entire storm brewing from the sidelines, quietly taking notes, refusing to ignore what others pretended not to see. That castmate was Bambi. And the day would come when she'd stop being silent. Bambi wasn't just another cast member stirring the pot for screen time. She was Rashida's friend, her sounding board when the cameras were off and the glam came off too. Late night calls, tearful confessions, silent hugs behind vanity mirrors. Rashida had leaned on her through breakdowns no one ever saw. When the world saw a flawless businesswoman, Bambi saw the woman who whispered, "I don't know how much more I can take." She had heard it all, the apologies that came too late, the promises that came too easy, and the way Rashida always chose calm over confrontation. Bambi used to admire her restraint. But over time, admiration turned into concern. Kirk's behavior wasn't a one-time slip. It was a pattern. The jokes, the flirting, the little lies that snowballed into scandals. Every time the dust settled, he found a way to kick it back up again. Bambi knew because she'd lived through her own version of that pain. Her past with Scrappy had been no fairy tale. She'd been cheated on, humiliated, and forced to rebuild herself in public. That experience hardened her heart and sharpened her instincts. She could spot manipulation the way some people spot danger. So when she started receiving screenshots, Kirk's name, his DMIs, his hotel offers, it hit different. At first, she tried to stay quiet. She didn't want to destroy her friend's world again. She waited, hoping Kirk would come clean. But he didn't. And when she saw Rashida smiling beside him at dinner, toasting to new beginnings, something inside Bambi snapped. She realized silence wasn't loyalty, it was complicity. Exposing Kirk wasn't about revenge. It was about love, the tough kind. The kind that risks friendship to save a sister from drowning in denial. And that's why, on reunion night, when Bambi pulled out her phone, it wasn't drama. It was deliverance. Kirk Frost's story has always followed the same script charm: chaos, apology, repeat. He's mastered the art of playing both the villain and the victim in the same scene. Every time a scandal hit, he knew exactly how to pivot. He disappeared just long enough for sympathy to build, then resurface with a smile, polished outfit, and a line about growth. Fans called it manipulation. His circle called it routine. Rashida just called it exhausting. He had that effortless charm that made people forget his past sins. Smooth talk, business acumen, the way he'd turn any confrontation into a misunderstanding. And when that didn't work, he'd pull the family card. "I'm doing my best for us." But the receipts always told a different story. His version of working late usually meant texting someone new, building connections that had nothing to do with business. Building connections that had nothing to do with business. Every time Rashida caught him, his apologies came rehearsed. Eyes glassy, voice trembling, just enough to sound sincere. But behind that performance was strategy say enough to survive the moment, never enough to change. His social media became his favorite weapon. A place to post motivational quotes, couple selfies, and love conquers all captions that painted him as a redeemed man. But the truth was darker. Behind every heart emoji was another deleted message. Behind every smiling photo was a silent storm brewing. People inside their circle stopped believing his act years ago. Bambi, especially, had noticed the pattern. The disappearances. The selective guilt. The timing of his spiritual growth posts that always seemed to follow fresh drama. Kirk knew how to rebuild his image faster than he rebuilt trust. But what made this latest scandal unforgivable wasn't just the cheating, it was the arrogance. He thought he could keep playing the same game forever, that no one would dare call him out again. Until Bambi decided to flip the script. And when she brought those receipts to the reunion, she shattered every illusion he had left. The reunion set had seen fights before, shouting matches, walkouts, even thrown drinks, but nothing like this. The air was thick with disbelief as Bambi's phone glowed in Rashida's trembling hands. The DMs were undeniable. Kirk's verified account sliding into another woman's inbox with charm that felt too familiar. "You looked good the other night," one message read. Another followed. "Let me take you somewhere private. Don't worry about my situation, it's complicated." The room collectively gasped. Each scroll revealed another message, another timestamp, another lie. Some texts were flirtatious. Others were explicit. A few were dangerously recent. The producers huddled behind the cameras, unsure whether to cut or keep filming, but they knew this was television gold. The host, visibly shaken, whispered, "Are we still rolling?" The cameraman nodded silently. They couldn't look away. Kirk sat motionless. His jaw clenched, hands folded, face expressionless. Rashida's breathing grew shallow. You could feel her heartbreak traveling across the stage like an invisible wave. Bambi's voice sliced through the silence. "You still want to say it's old messages? Check that date, Kirk. That was last week." Rashida stared at him, her face blank. "You said you changed," she muttered, almost to herself. Kirk tried to form a defense, but every word died before it reached his lips. Bambi didn't yell. She didn't gloat. Her tone was quiet, controlled, deadly. "You looked this woman in the eye and said she was safe," she said. "And this is what you were doing behind her back." And then came the twist that made the audience gasp out loud. Bambi wasn't done. She turned to the production crew and said, "Play it." The monitors behind the stage flickered to life. Grainy hotel security footage appeared, time-stamped with the same weekend Kirk had claimed to be in Miami for a business dinner. There he was, Kirk Froston, the lobby of a boutique hotel in Charlotte. Arm in arm with the same young woman from the DMIs. The crowd erupted. Sierra covered her face. Spice started pacing. Scrappy muttered, "Aw, hell, bro." Rashida didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just watched, motionless. As her husband's double life played out in 108OP, when the clip ended, she turned to him slowly. "I stayed for the man I thought you were becoming," she said, her voice breaking. "But you've been showing me who you are this whole time. I just kept looking away." Kirk looked destroyed, yet still searching for a way to spin it. But there was nothing left to twist. Every camera captured his downfall. Every cast member witnessed the truth he'd been hiding for years. The host tried to cut to commercial. A chaos had already taken over. Crew members rushed forward. Some castmates walked off. Others whispered in disbelief. Rashida stood up, removing her mic. "I'm done," she said quietly. And as she walked off stage, the world watched the illusion of the Frost Empire collapse in real time. But for Bambi, this wasn't the end. It was only the spark that would set everything else on fire. The moment the reunion episode wrapped, the internet erupted like a digital explosion. Within hours, timelines were flooded with clips, screenshots, and fan theories dissecting every second of the chaos. Hashtags dominated every platform. Hashtag protect Rashida, hashtag Kirk exposed, hashtag Bambi the truth teller. Memes circulated faster than facts, and everyone had an opinion. Some called it karma, others called it heartbreak. But everyone agreed on one thing: this wasn't just a storyline. This was a reckoning. Blogs like The Shade Room, Hollywood Unlocked, and Neighborhood Talk posted back-to-back updates. Kirk Frost caught red-handed again. One headline screamed. Underneath, thousands of comments poured in, fans demanding justice, others praying for Rashida's healing. Even celebrities chimed in. Yandy Smith commented a broken heart emoji. Spice reposted a clip captioned, "Loyalty has limits." The noise was deafening. Meanwhile, Bambi stayed quiet for a while. She let the chaos breathe. Then, late one night, she went live. No glam, no filter, just Bambi in a hoodie, sipping wine, and staring directly into the camera. "I ain't messy," she began, "but I'm real. And if you think that reunion was the end of what I know, you don't even know the half of it." Instantly, her comment section flooded, fans begging for answers. Trolls calling her a snitch, others calling her a hero. Bambi didn't flinch. "This ain't about clout," she continued. "This is about truth. Too many of these men hide behind their brands while their women carry their lies in silence. Not anymore." Then she paused, looked dead into the lens, and said, "Rashida wasn't the only one lied to. There's someone else y'all forgot about." Screen cut to black. A few seconds later, audio played a voice memo from Jasmine Washington. Yes. That Jasmine woman at the center of Kirk's 2017 scandal. Her voice was calm but heavy. "He promised me I was the only one," she said. "He told me him and Rashida only lived together for business. He played both of us." The internet lost its mind. Bambi looked back at the camera, her voice steady. "Men like Kirk only change when they lose everything," she said. "And maybe this time, that's exactly what needs to happen." When the live ended, timelines split in half. Some hailed Bambi as the truth teller the franchise needed. Others accused her of destroying Rashida's peace for views. But one thing was clear, the love and hip-hop world would never be the same. And before the dust could settle, another twist hit. Jasmine posted a black screen with red letters "It never ended." Then she locked her account. No caption, no context, just chaos. Fans went wild, theories spread like wildfire. And everyone knew this saga wasn't over. Because if Bambi had receipts, Jasmine had proof. And together, they were about to burn the Frost legacy to the ground, while the internet roasted Kirk and rallied around Rashida. The real fallout unfolded quietly behind closed doors. The Frost brand, once a model of resilience, was collapsing in real time. Endorsement deals disappeared overnight. A major athleisure sponsor pulled out. Their couples podcast vanished from streaming platforms with no explanation. Pressed ATL, Rashida's boutique and pride, became a pilgrimage site for fans, offering sympathy instead of sales. Women showed up with flowers, handwritten letters, and hugs that said what words couldn't. Inside the Frost household, silence ruled. Kirk tried reaching out, but Rashida wasn't answering. Sources close to the family said she locked herself in her suite after the reunion. Ignoring calls from producers and castmates, she was done with cameras, done with excuses. For years, she'd been the calm one, the fixer, the forgiving wife. Now she was a ghost present, but unreachable. Kirk, on the other hand, spiraled into damage control. Instead of an apology, he posted a vague Instagram story. "People always believe the worst version of you." Comments exploded. Fans dragged him so hard he disabled replies within minutes. The same people who once admired his business grind were now calling him the downfall of his own empire. Behind the scenes, VH1 executives scrambled. Meetings were held to decide whether to suspend or completely remove him from the next season. Sponsors demanded answers. One brand rep allegedly told producers, "We can't have his face associated with anything empowering." The personal damage cut even deeper. Their teenage son reportedly refused to speak to Kirk, locking himself in his room for days. He looked up to him, a family insider revealed. Now he looks right through him. Even Rashida's mother, Charlene, snapped. She confronted Kirk at his studio, shouting loud enough for security to intervene. "You humiliated my daughter for the last time," she screamed. "You broke everything she built." In the streets of Atlanta, whispers spread like smoke. Everyone had an opinion. Some said Rashida was finally done. Others thought she'd give him one last chance for the family's sake. But one detail silenced every rumor. Rashida quietly edited her Instagram bio. One word vanished. Wife. It wasn't loud, but it was final. And while Kirk tried to rebuild his image, Rashida began rebuilding something far more powerful, her freedom. Building something far more powerful, her freedom. Just when fans thought the fire was finally dying down, another spark hit. This one turned the whole internet into a wildfire. Out of nowhere, a young woman went live on Instagram. Her voice shaky, her tone half defensive, half defiant. "I'm not trying to be messy," she began, "but I'm not going to be a secret either." Within minutes, thousands joined the stream. Her name was unfamiliar to most viewers. But the details she revealed weren't. She claimed she'd been seeing Kirk off and on for months. She said he promised her the same thing he'd promised Jasmine years ago, that he and Rashida were only together for business. Then came the proof. She held up screenshots of text messages, flirty exchanges, late-night FaceTimes, Uber receipts, and hotel bookings that lined up perfectly with Kirk's supposed solo business trips. In one image, Kirk lay shirtless in bed, the glow of a phone lighting his face. The camera flipped for a second, revealing the woman herself under the same sheets. It wasn't speculation anymore, it was confirmation. The comments flooded in instantly. "Not again. This man is allergic to loyalty." Bambi tried to warn y'all. The woman ended her live with one final statement. "He told me Rashida was cool with it. Guess that was another lie." And just like that, chaos returned to the timeline. Within hours, another bomb dropped. A leaked clip surfaced online, grainy, time-stamped, and clearly from inside Frost Bistro. It showed Kirk sitting in a private booth, discreetly sliding a phone across the table to someone in a hoodie. At first, fans assumed it was another side chick, until the figure turned slightly toward the camera. The face was unmistakable. It was Bambi. The internet detonated. Theories multiplied like wildfire. Was Bambi part of a setup? Was she helping him hide evidence? Or was this all part of her plan to expose him from the inside? Reddit threads erupted overnight, each one more elaborate than the last. Some fans believed Bambi had been playing a long game, pretending to be an ally, secretly collecting proof for months to deliver a public takedown at the reunion. Others speculated Kirk had blackmailed her, forcing her to act against her will until she finally broke free. Clips from old episodes resurfaced, tiny gestures, exchanged looks, half-spoken lines. Fans analyzed them frame by frame like detectives. TikTokers created timelines, matching travel dates, outfits, and background details to connect every affair. One viral theory claimed Bambi's confrontation wasn't spontaneous, it was strategic. That she had waited until cameras were rolling to ensure Kirk couldn't spin his way out this time. Meanwhile, gossip blogs ran wild. Did Bambi set Kirk up? Read one headline. Or did he hand her the rope? Said another. The tension grew as more footage leaked, audio clips, old text threads. Even a recording of Kirk allegedly asking someone to hold on to my backup phone. Each new piece of evidence painted him deeper into a corner. But when fans thought the chaos had peaked, Bambi went live again. Her tone was darker this time. "Don't ask me why I took that phone," she said. "Ask him why he gave it to me." She leaned closer, voice low. "Y'all don't know the half of it. There's more, so much more. And if I have to, I'll burn this whole circus down." Then she lifted something into the frame, a small black notebook with gold lettering across the front. The word confession shimmered under the light. "Y'all wanted receipts?" She whispered. "I got receipts." The screen faded to black dot, and that was the moment fans realized they hadn't reached the end. They had just crossed into the sequel. By morning, screenshots of Bambi's mysterious black notebook were everywhere. Zoomed-in photos, theories, speculation. What did it contain? Text messages, recordings, names. No one knew, but everyone wanted to. The phrase "the confessions notebook" began trending before sunrise. Some said it held proof of an even deeper scandal involving more cast members. Others believed it was Bambi's personal diary, the emotional record of every lie she'd uncovered. Either way, the anticipation was electric. Every outlet picked up the story. Bambi's secret files could end careers. One headline read. Fans flooded her DMs, demanding answers. Even Rashida's silence became a headline. Everyone wanted to know what was inside that notebook, and whether it would finally bring Kirk's empire to its knees. But Bambi didn't post again. Not a word, not a picture, just silence. And in that silence, curiosity turned into obsession. People speculated who might be exposed next, other cast members, producers, maybe even someone Rashida once called a friend. And now, the question everyone's asking, was this a setup or justice? Was Bambi playing hero, or was she playing dirty in a bigger game? Is Rashida finally done? Or will she once again choose loyalty over freedom? And what about Kirk? Will he survive another scandal? Or has his last bridge finally burned? One thing's certain, the notebook exists. And when its pages open, someone's entire legacy will crumble. So buckle up. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn on those post notifications, because the truth inside confessions could change everything. Hashtag Team Rashida. Hashtag Bambi exposed. Hashtag Kirk canceled. Hashtag The Confessions Notebook. Hashtag The Confessions Notebook.